Okay, great. Well, listen, we are always excited that we have an opportunity to really highlight, some of our members that have done a phenomenal job of really being products of the product. And today, we have one of our original members that's been with us from the very beginning. This young lady has definitely experienced the highs and lows of the financial education space, but has come out on the other side of it with prosperity in so many different ways. And so today, our spotlight member is none other than Miss Debbie Mininfield out of Sacramento, California. So let me do a quick sound check for Miss Mininfield. Are you there?
Yes, yes. Let me make
Awesome.
sure I'm pinned here. Uh, just a moment.
Okay. So I think we are ready, I believe.
Am I pinned? I don't see it.
Yeah, you're good to go. I can
There.
see
Oh,
you.
I didn't. Okay, let me switch it. Sorry. I always like you on the left on my beat.
It shows you as the main person when you're talking anyway on our side.
Okay, there we go.
All right, so for those who haven't had a chance to meet you, obviously, why don't you do a quick Dun and Bradstreet Street about your background and where you're from?
Awesome. Yes, so you did say that I am from Sacramento, California, born and raised. I have two sisters. I'm the middle sister. And let's see, I have a bachelor's degree in ethnic studies and an associate in accounting. I worked my career path up the ladder in the state of California. I worked 31 years as a full-time employee. And then life set in. I needed to retire. Both my mom and my stepdad were terminal at the same time on hospice. And so I stepped away from my career ladder to be able to be their full-time caregiver. Once my stepdad passed away right away, unfortunately, and my mom lived with me for about 2 to 3 more years. And I had the initial thought of, when their time was over here, I would go back to work and just kind of pick up where I left off. I was about 3 years away from my retirement age in the state of California system. And I thought I would pick up and do those few more years and retire, as planned, as I had planned. But that didn't happen because the rules changed while I was away. And so you didn't get to just pick up. And so I decided just stay out. But during the course of that time, I had used all of the money that I had set aside for my retirement. And so I didn't have a plan. And um, after my mom had passed, a friend of mine invited me to go to a conference in Memphis, Tennessee. I had never been to Memphis. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything that made me stay at home and not go. So we did a road trip. I said, okay, fine. We did a road trip. We drove like 27 hours straight with a couple of other adults. And that conference was just life changing. That's where I met Mr. Jameson. I met Mr. Garrett. I know Miss Angela was there as well, although I didn't meet her then. And I called it my chance meeting in Memphis, Tennessee, because that was where I just kind of hooked in and needing to have purpose and direction for my life. I just latched on and I haven't looked back.
I love it. I love it. What an amazing chance meeting in
Yes.
Memphis, Tennessee, which is amazing. It's a
Destiny. It was
Yeah,
destiny.
destiny, destiny. It's amazing how that connection happened in Memphis, which is the bankruptcy capital of the world, right? Where people are struggling financially. But here
Mhm.
we are in the financial education space doing the exact opposite of what's happening there, which is amazing. So why don't you talk about obviously being in this space? You talked about your initial plan in terms of going back to work and things of that nature. Why don't you talk about what attracted you to the financial education space? What are some of the things that you saw when we were first looking at, focusing on financial education?
Sure. Well, being that, I had an associate in accounting and I came up in my career path came up the accounting line. And then I was into fiscal services for a state agency. I've always been intrigued with balancing the budgeting, all of the tracking all the expenses. And so when I met you and the team, it was just a no-brainer. It was just something that I was already familiar with in terms of the financial aspect of it, but I felt like I was behind the curve because I was off my plan and I didn't have a plan for my future. And so I needed to learn. I needed to get a backup. I needed to be able to do something more. Now, in the interim, I have been able to return back to work as a retired annuitant, which means it's just part-time. And so I have been able to do that, but I don't pay into my retirement. So this is more of a way for me to secure my future. I didn't mention also, I'm a business owner, small business owner. I own and operate a vintage transportation company called Sentimental Journey. I restored, I inherited from my dad a 1948 Pontiac. I restored her, and I'm partial, but she's beautiful. She and I are a team, and I drive it for weddings, special events, entertainer travel. I mean, we've been in business now for 11 years. So I'm just trying to, like I said, secure my future for when I'm not able to work.
I love it. I love it. I had a chance to ride in Pearl, one of my visits to Sacramento, and you're right. She's definitely absolutely beautiful. But you mentioned something that I wrote down here in my notes. You talked about feeling like you was behind the curve, right? So that gives me a sense that you felt like you should be a little further along to some degree. And typically, when people feel like that, they have a tendency to hoard their money more than give it out, right? Or invest it because they feel like I don't have much, so why would I, put it into something? So why don't you talk to us about what inspired you to be willing to take a risk, feeling like you're behind, but still moving forward with planting positive seeds to ultimately produce some results for you?
Sure. Well, it all stemmed from, my plan in terms of my retirement. Had I reached my full retirement age, which was supposed to be 55, and given the amount of years that I worked, it would have been 35 years times two, which is our percentage. I would have been earning 70% of salary, and that would have been my retirement. And I only really had in place a 401k and a 457, which, is just doesn't amount to much in terms of a retirement. And then I pulled that and I had to live off of that. So the difference in retiring early, you're penalized. And so instead of receiving 70%, I only received 42%, which is significant for long term. And so I say that I felt behind the curve because uh, given my retirement income, I had already spent the 401 and all of that. So I needed something else. And so that's when I thought I got to get something moving.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You mentioned something that's important. Well, hopefully you guys are taking notes. Really great interview here. There's some things that's going to happen in life that we have no control over, right? You had absolutely no control over needing to take care of your parents the way that you needed to do. You had no control over the rules changing in the middle of that. That has nothing to do with you, right? Because
Right.
people think that they can do everything right and it's going to end up that way. And it just never happens that way. But having the ability to bob and weave when you need to is so important. But you've had some great experiences in investing, some low experiences in investing. Why don't we talk about one of your greatest experiences in investing when the home that you were living in got sold and you needed to move, right? Nobody planned on that
Right.
happening. Why don't we
Right.
talk about that for a minute?
Sure. Well, when we joined in with the iGenius platform, I'm the type of person that I don't want to miss out. I might not take advantage of everything right away, but I want it to have it available to me when I am ready to move in that. So I came in right away on the Elite platform so that it would be there. And when the strategy with, or the third party connect with Endotech became available to us, that is an automated system to where it trades crypto basically. And when that platform came available to us, I just knew, well, let me try. Let me see what's going to happen. I didn't know anything about crypto. I didn't know anything about that, but I funded 3 different accounts in June, August, and October of 2020. Yes, 2020. I have to think back. So it's June, August, October of 2020. I started the three strategies. That's what we could have at the time. And I appreciated that strategy because I had access to my money. I didn't have to give it to somebody. They were going to do it. I started those accounts and I had access to, as you stated, I was renting a home and the owner decided to sell. And so then this was like in the middle of the pandemic. So what do we do here? And so we decided to buy, and we were looking. And of course, the more house you buy, the more down you need. And we were going to be short for the house that we're in. And so I thought, you start looking at, what do I have? What can I pull? Where do I have something? And I looked at my Endotech accounts and was just amazed because the $3,000 June, August, October, by the next February of 2021, I was able to pull $13,000 of profit and to use towards a down payment on our home. Now, of course, past performance doesn't guarantee any future results, but that is what I was able to do. And not just, I mean, that was kind of very definitely pivotal in terms of securing, partly for my future, but also that account has just, those accounts, I should say, has just given, because as you teach, take the profits from one strategy to fund the next. And so that's what I have done. I have used, it's almost like as soon as I know I have, $1,000 or more profit, I'm pulling it, I'm putting it someplace else. Let it still work, pull it, put money in Endow, pull it, put money in Forex, pull it, put money. And that's what I have just done. And so it's been amazing. That strategy alone has been amazing.
Man, that's incredible that that was able to happen for you. And so
Yes.
we're excited. So if you have the opportunity to talk to someone brand new, they're looking at the AMG network as a place that they could potentially start learning about investing. Maybe they're looking at it and saying, "Hey, I'm behind the curve as well. Can I still win? Can it still happen for me?" What would be some advice in your closing comments here that you would give a new person taking a look at what we're doing?
I have a saying that my family is, I always say, it's only money. It's only money. More will come. But it's important on what you do with it. I'm not a shopper. I'm not the type of person that spends a lot on, handbags or shoes or whatever. I'm not that type of a person. But I do think that if it's a splurge that you need for yourself or your family, spend it. It's only money. You have the memories that you can't get back, that sometimes money will pay for. But do your due diligence to make sure that you are focused on your financial future. Like you said, you just don't know what's going to happen, what's going to be, there. And so if you're behind the curve, especially because I feel like I'm, more senior than some people, I'm 63 and I feel like I am trying to catch up. But if I could go back to tell my younger self in my career, building and building and building, I would have learned to invest more. I would have put money in the stock market. I would have, added money to my 401k instead of just whatever the measly little match was, because you just don't know what's going to be on that rainy day and then how things will affect you further. So, but you got to have some skin in the game. Yes.
I love it. I love it. Hey, listen, thank you so much for sharing with us today, being open and transparent. And I'm sure your testimony will liberate some others as they listen to it as well. Thank you so much for
I
joining.
hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much.